You just discovered what it takes to become a legend. Grab your eye. Let's mobilize.
How's it going, everyone? It's HandlelessTML back with another Cyberpunk 2077 video. So, a lot of us have been wondering, where exactly is this spaceship located at the ending of the game, during the Path of Glory ending? And in today's video, I'm going to use mods to show you exactly where. And the first thing you'll notice there is the globe, which, if I remember correctly, I don't think you can actually see that from the Path of Glory ending. Not from this spaceship. I believe when you're on the Arasaka ship, I want to say you can see the globe then, or at least when you're heading back home. But I don't think you can actually see this from this spaceship. So we're just going to look at some of the details, and you'll notice that the left side of the ship isn't all that detailed because the cutscene doesn't show that side of the ship, nor does it show the front. But once we get closer to the part that the cutscene does show, you'll notice it's a lot more detailed. Looks very nice, actually. That's the door that V comes out of, and we can see here the hatch that V exits on their way to Crystal Palace at the ending. So just looking around, it seems like actually a pretty big area, and these models over here of the Earth and Crystal Palace, you know, believe it or not, they're actually pretty detailed when you get up close to them compared to a lot of other things. So something interesting that you'll see there is the white wall that pops up when you get close enough to Earth. And I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it actually not being part of this cutscene. Maybe that wall could be there for lighting purposes, who knows. But when you get up close to Crystal Palace, you'll see some of the details, and one of the first things that you'll notice about it is that it's actually, it seems to be scaled a lot smaller than it actually is supposed to be compared to V. Because remember, this is a huge resort where loads of people are staying on here, you know, just enjoying life. So this is actually a really huge place. And starting from the rotating disc filled with advertisements, I'm going to show you some of the details on the inside, even though there's really not much. You clip through it, see everything is clearly, you know, well modeled out. Even on the inside, there are certain details that, you know, for a supposedly, or for something that is supposed to be a background piece, you know, it's very detailed. But then again, it is part of a cutscene, and a major cutscene. Matter of fact, one of the only third-person cutscenes you get in the game. So that could also be the reason it's so detailed. Considering the scale, it's definitely not detailed enough for there to be, you know, some sort of interior like you would see throughout the game in other buildings, where you'd be able to clip through them and just enter the buildings. Now maybe a cutscene could take us here and we'd be able to visit it later on, who knows. So it's a very cool area. You get to look out into the void of space. You don't really see any other items out here, just stars, and that's about it. And the Earth pops back in and out the closer you get to it. And then you also have this large strip of land out here that you're actually able to land on. We'll explore that in just a moment. First, I just want to show you how the lighting changes when you circle the globe, and you can't actually circle the globe, it's a complete sphere. And if you just stand still and look at it, it actually rotates. Again, like I said, going inside, you see absolutely nothing on the inside. Now this gray strip of land is actually pretty interesting. So one thing you'll notice when you're inside of the spaceship, the gravity is, or at least the camera makes you feel like the gravity is different. I don't think it actually is. I think it's just how the camera's wobbling, or how the camera is moving. It kind of makes it feel like V is walking in low gravity. But when I'm walking on this strip of land, it actually feels like I am walking in low gravity. And something cool about the outfit that I have on is that it works just like the retro thrusters that you get from Rogue. It has capabilities despite being only accessible during a part of the game where you can't access its capabilities. And actually, the more I play along with it, I think it works better than the retro thrusters. And you'll see it later in the video when I'm actually testing this out on Earth. But they seem to keep you up in the air a little bit longer than the retro thrusters. Actually, if anything, I'm able to, for the most part, hover with just them as opposed to using the fortified angles in combination. Now, something else you'll notice about this ground is the further you walk away from the Earth, the more the lighting changes and it actually becomes a reflective surface. And something you'll notice about the Earth is that it's actually right below us, as well as right there. So we're actually not that far from Night City at all, believe it or not. Yeah, so this one actually really surprised me. I assumed we were extremely high up in the air, but as you see, the closer you get to the Earth, space just kind of pops in there. Now the interesting thing about this is you can drop from there and you'll land in Rocky Ridge. And that's the area that space is directly above. But when you try to go back up there, let's say, you know, load up another save and you start out from Earth as opposed to starting out from the cutscene, it doesn't seem to appear out of sequence. And this is just to showcase how differently these work from the retro thrusters, which pretty much have a cooldown on them, it seems. And they also automatically, they seem to drop you a lot lower before they activate, as opposed to this outfit that I'm wearing that allows me to, you know, essentially hover to the other side of this plane, something that, you know, we normally wouldn't be able to do. Now this is what happens when you don't start during the epilogue and try to get up to the spaceship just from Earth by jumping up really high, or by using mods to fly in the air. And if you look at my distance, you'll notice that I'm already further away than I was when I was in space. So I assume it's only accessible during the epilogue. And there are a few other places like that that I'll be going over in future videos, so be on the lookout for those. Now here we have the Arasaka Space Center that V was kept on to get treatment for the engram. And here you can see this is actually the aftermath of V having an outrage over receiving some news here. You may or may not know. And the interesting thing about this is actually not connected to anything. When you go outside, you'll notice it's just land. We are directly above the ground. And I can even drop out of it, as you're about to see here, and fall straight to the ground. But that's not what all that's up here. So just above, there's another ship, the exact same ship, just a different version of it. So I remember there being some sort of dream sequence at one point when you're in this ship and you're able to step outside of your room and walk into the hallways momentarily. I believe this may be that. And the only reason I believe that is mainly just because of how empty it is. But that could be because I'm doing this out of sequence. But you also notice that some of the details, like the chair that, you know, V would eventually go in should they decide to side with Arasaka completely. And this is V's room, not as destroyed. This is actually before it was destroyed. So you have different sections of different parts of the epilogue taking place in different locations. It's pretty interesting. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and end the video here. Thought it was pretty interesting. I've had a few people asking me to see if I could find the spaceships, and I started using certain mods today. You can subscribe for more Cyberpunk 2077 content. I actually have a lot of content in the works, including lore videos, as well as more places that I've been able to find out about, so be on the lookout for those. As always, thank you for watching, and see you next time.